Aaron, Chris, thank you very much. Mike Pereira is here. We're going to hear from him. You know that by the end of the day. Our referee today is Gene Steratore. This is not an all-star crew. It's a mixed crew. Pressure on those guys as well. Off we go. This is Harris will bring it out. And Dwayne Harris will get to the 23. Brought down by Brad Jones. The Cowboys won the toss. They elected to receive, and here comes Tony Romo, who was #1 in the NFL in quarterback rating this season, and look at what he's done numbers-wise since the calendar turned to December.
Well, he's had a great stretch, Joe, and he's had a great season. A lot of discussion, as we know, regarding Aaron Rodgers' calf. But Tony Romo took a lot of hits in that win last week against Detroit. Said it's the sorest he has been in quite a while.
They're going to start their day with DeMarco Murray, and the league's leading running back, who carried it for over 1,800 yards, picks up 5. A good start for this offensive line, which is outstanding. And up front, you look at the Pro Bowlers, and you've got 2 All-Pros up there, including the rookie Zach Martin.
Zach Martin has been outstanding. He's not only made the Pro Bowl, he's the All-Pro rookie right guard as well.
First time that's happened in 67 years for an offensive lineman. 2nd and 5. Murray tries the left side. Matthews can't bring him down, but the play made by Barrington. No gain. 3rd down coming up, and we'll look at some of the guys on defense. And you think about Green Bay defensively, you think about number 52, and this defense took off when they moved Clay more inside than he's ever been before.
But where he's a concern for this Cowboys offense, Joe, is when he lines up on the outside as a pass rusher. They're going to move him around in this ball game. Here we are on the first 3rd down. Clay Matthews right here in the middle of the screen.
Third down and 5. Romo has it knocked out and is just able to get back on it. It'll be 4th down, a loss of 5. Julius Peppers came in, and the veteran may have been the one to knock it out.
Julius Peppers, he works against Ronald Leary there at left guard. He's able to get by him, and just as Romo starts to throw the football, Peppers comes in and gets a hold of the arm. It clearly was a fumble. The Cowboys fortunate to get back on that and not give the ball back to the Green Bay Packers with a short field.
The 8-time Pro Bowler Julius Peppers in his 13th year. Not a great punt on this cold day, and Micah Hyde with a fair catch inside the 40. And good starting field position for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay offense. He won the MVP in 2011. He's likely to win the MVP in 2014, and the numbers, Troy, I know just blow you away. No home interceptions since the 2012 season.
Well, that's I mean, that's amazing in itself, Joe. He just doesn't throw them whether they're at home or away. He talks about it. I mean, he is so precise with the football. He's smart. He diagnoses the defense, and he delivers the football on point.
Start the day with Eddie Lacy, and he is wrapped up in the backfield. Good play by Carter. Bruce Carter, who's been so good defending the pass, a former 2nd-round pick, a good start on that first play. And here is the offensive line, and while Dallas gets all the accolades, this group is terrific.
They are, and they've got a rookie of their own who's had an outstanding year, and that's center Corey Lindsley.
2nd and 11. Rodgers sets up, fires, pass is caught. And that great back shoulder throw, that's almost indefensible, to Jordy Nelson for a 1st down.
That's just outstanding timing in the pocket. You're going to see Aaron Rodgers off of play action in the shotgun formation. Yeah, they've got a guy in his face. He turns it loose. Good coverage on the outside.
And now on 1st down, it's Lacy right side. Eddie Lacy down inside the 35. to the 31, a carry of 19 yards for the second-year player out of Alabama.
Well, it's an outstanding job up front. They're running this pistol formation. It takes some of the pressure off of Aaron Rodgers' calf. Look at the block that Randall Cobb has there on J.J. Wilcox. That's what sprung the big hole.
There he is again, right side. A couple of Dallas Cowboys defenders along for the ride. Selvey on the stop, a gain of 5. And we saw this week 17 against Detroit. They came out and the first 7 plays were running plays. They wanted to set the tone that we can run the ball right down your throat, and they did.
A lot of confidence in their ability to run the football. They proved it, as you said, against Detroit, the #1 run defense in the league, and they took the opening drive right down the field.
Barry Church is off the field right now. Here's Lacey again. A first down just shy of the 15. And Barry Church comes back in as the Cowboys get set defensively with Green Bay hurrying it up.
Hey, brush. Two. Five, Mike. Ready. Good.
Delayed handoff, Lacey. Good blocking. And a nice run as Church makes the stop, a gain of 8.
You see these 2 deep safeties right here. That's what Aaron Rodgers is looking for, and so he checks to the run at the line of scrimmage. I can assure you, when the Cowboys go with a single safety in the middle of the field, they're going to throw the football. When they play coverage, he's going to be checking to the run, just as he did on the last play.
Hey, check New York Bozo. Red. Ready. Good.
Here's Lacey. First and goal inside the 5 to the 4. And we talked to Mike McCarthy, who has called for 6 runs out of the 7 plays, and he said, don't think my offensive line hasn't heard about the Dallas offensive line. And they're challenged to have a great one here today. Off to a good start, Lacey. Trying to beat 2 guys, cannot. Minshew was there with Barry Church, second and goal.
He kind of had a smile on his face when he said it, didn't he, Joe? And I asked him if, when they came out against Detroit and they really wanted to make a statement by running the football, he said they did. I said, what about this game against the Dallas Cowboys? Do you want to make a statement and show them that you can run the football as well? And he said, we're not as inclined to commit to running the ball early in that game because they like the matchups outside. But, well, you look at the distribution and what they've done. They've ran the ball effectively here on this opening possession.
Second and goal.
319.
Looking left, and he and the rookie Adams not on the same page. Devontae Adams, who has been slowed down the last few games, didn't have a catch in week 17, is not on the same page of the playbook with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, so this is big right here. Here we are in the early going of this ball game, and there have been times when the Packers have really struggled down here in the red zone. And the Cowboys, for as well as the Packers have moved the football here to open up this ball game, if they're able to make a stop here and limit them to a field goal, that's huge.
319. Look at the 8. Look at that.
Rodgers throws for the touchdown. Corliss.
Thought we were going to get our first glimpse as to whether or not this calf was going to hold up for Aaron Rodgers. You're going to see that it opens up in front of him. He starts to take it, and then he finds Corliss in the back of the end zone. Even after he makes the throw, he protects his left calf. You see hopping on his right foot. An excellent job of Corliss being able to get open against Bruce Carter, their linebacker.
Andrew Corliss with just 3 touchdowns during the regular season. He's got one in this divisional playoff game. The Cowboys are in town at Lambeau Field, and Aaron Rodgers rings up another 7-0 Pack on top.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
Spanish language broadcast available on both Fox Deportes and by utilizing SAP on our broadcast. 13th straight game where the Packers have scored first, and they did it on a 10-play drive. Eddie Lacy got him down there, and Corliss was there for the 4-yard touchdown catch. Here's Harris, short kick. And Dwayne Harris with a good return out across the 30 to the 35. And after going 3 and out, back to work the Cowboys offense. Aaron Rodgers protecting that calf and doing what he does best. Another touchdown and a 7-point lead.
This game is sponsored by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly.
Second possession for the Cowboys, down by 7. Here's Murray. And a good start to this drive, as he did the first time they had it. How about what these quarterbacks have done this season? Coming into this game, Aaron Rodgers at home to the regular season 8-0, the 25 touchdowns, the no interceptions. However, on the road, which is where Tony Romo is right now, albeit in his home state, 8-0, 20 touchdowns, only 2 picks. 2nd and 4. Romo right through the hands of Witten. Away from the body. Witten could not make the catch. That's the security blanket for Tony Romo. He was there on that big 4th down completion last week against the Lions, and now it's 3rd and 4.
You don't see that very often out of Jason Witten, not being able to pull that one in. A big play last week, of course, on 4th and 6. Had a great career for this Cowboy team.
Just get it away. Packers showing blitz. Pass is incomplete, but a flag is down. And it's a hold defensively for an automatic first down against Green Bay.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 59. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
That's Brad Jones, who will check out.
Yeah, Brad Jones is right on the outside, and he tackles DeMarco Murray. They're trying to set up the screen play, and he comes off and just grabs him. Packers had good pursuit, too, on Romo. They sniffed it out pretty good.
So a first down for the Dallas Cowboys at the 49. Murray right side. Penalty flag flies. Thrown by Sterator. No gain on the play. And it's a hold against Dallas.
Holding. Offense. Number 70. 10-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
It's the rookie Zach Martin.
They get the hold on Julius Peppers, and already he's making his presence felt in this ball game. They could have gotten Gavin Escobar on the hold as well. 2 guys trying to take him out of the play, but they're going to be moving Julius Peppers around throughout this game. We saw him on Ronald Leary when he got past him. Moved to the opposite side of the line of scrimmage on that last play. Dom Capers is going to be moving him a lot.
1st and 20, quick throw. Beasley's got blockers out in front of him. Good play. And Cole Beasley down inside the 45. And that little guy tucked in under some big bodies out in front of him. Good block by Ronald Leary.
Well, Cole Beasley has really come on here down the stretch, and he's such a quick guy, and he's got great strength for someone who's no bigger than he is. But because of the athleticism of this offensive line of the Cowboys, they're able to run those types of things and get blockers out in front of them. That was a nice first down call.
On 1st and 20, they get 18. 2nd and 2. Here's Murray trying to find a first down, and a good play defensively. Mike Daniels in to make the stop. 3rd and 1 coming up.
Well, Mike Daniels does an excellent job of just playing through the block and not giving DeMarco Murray anywhere to go with the football. That's really been the key to this run defense. I know Clay Matthews has gotten a lot of attention because it coincided with when he moved inside, but those big guys in the middle have done a great job.
It's Murray for the first down. When we talked to Mike McCarthy, he was raving about DeMarco Murray. He said he's a one-cut back, and that's what I love. He doesn't play around.
No, he's got it all, Joe. I mean, he's got great speed. He's tough. He can make people miss. He's got power when he runs. He's good in pass protection. In fact, Mike McCarthy said, I was impressed with him watching him on film, and then they traveled to Dallas last December, and he saw him up close. He said, I walked away from the game even more impressed. Yeah, he's a big fan of DeMarco Murray's.
On first down, play action, Romo well protected, gonna run, and a nice pickup on first down, ducked under a hit from Clay Matthews and picks up 7.
Looked like Tony was trying to go to his left side to Terrence Williams, and you see the attention that Des Bryant is going to get when he's starting to try to cross the middle of the field. And it's a pretty good indication right there that when Romo has time, he is always looking to throw the football. He does not want to scramble and take off, but he does there, and he gets a nice gain out of it.
Picked up 7, 2nd and 3. Here's Murray left side with Witten out in front of him. Depends on the spot. And they're going to give it to him. First down, a pickup of 3, Nick Perry on the tackle. You mentioned the name of Julius Peppers. Rodgers trying to stay loose on that cold sideline. Are you as surprised as I am that Julius Peppers cranked it up the way he did this year in his first year with Green Bay?
Yeah, he's had a great year, Joe, and would watch him in Chicago, and I didn't see him play to this level, but he has been really good all season long and so highly respected in that locker room. He was voted a playoff captain.
On first down, Romo sits in the pocket, finds his guy. That's Witten. And Witten to the 22, picks up 8. Under 4 to go, opening quarter, and this is a nice answer from the Dallas Cowboys after the touchdown to Corliss.
You know, a lot of quarterbacks, they have a clock that goes off in their head, and when it hits that time, you just feel you got to get the ball out. And with Tony Romo, if he has time and he's not under pressure, he will hold the ball as long as it takes. And with a 3-man rush on that last play, nobody able to get to him, and dropping 8 guys into coverage, somebody eventually is going to come open, as Witten did.
Here's Murray with a fullback Klutz in front of him. DeMarco Murray is going to be marked down just short of first down yardage. Picked up a yard, maybe a yard and a half. Des Bryant for that play, taking off that stocking cap that's underneath the helmet. Not as cold as everybody expected. Still chilly. Cowboys on the move. 3rd down when we come back.
This game is sponsored by Ford F-150. Introducing the all-new Ford F-150, the future of tough. By Pizza Hut. We're taking pizza where it's never been before. And by Visa Checkout. Pay online in just a few clicks. Visa, everywhere you want to be.
3rd down and less than a yard for the Cowboys, down by 7. 10th play of this drive coming as they try to answer the Aaron Rodgers to Andrew Corliss touchdown. It was Josh Boyd who left. He's been bothered by a bad knee. They've been looking at his ankle. Big 3rd down here. Murray for the first down. Troy, I think back to last year, and you think of the growth for Tony Romo. It was a game in Dallas, in Arlington, with the Cowboys up 26-3 at the half against Matt Flynn and the Packers. The Cowboys blew that game. Tony Romo threw 2 late interceptions, and it just made you leave scratching your head thinking, what are they doing and what's he doing at the line of scrimmage? He's like a different guy this season. Running what they're giving him and using this good ground game with Murray as he picks up 2.
That game, Joe, really kind of set the course going forward for this organization. I think it made them reevaluate exactly what they were doing, and in a lot of ways it led then to the drafting of Zach Martin at right guard. It certainly changed their philosophy in terms of what they were doing within the running game. They've made a stronger commitment in that regard. We've seen the benefits of that, and they've taken some of the control at the line of scrimmage away from Tony Romo, and all of those things are what has allowed this team to be playing here this afternoon.
2nd and 8. Romo to the end zone, contact and a flag. Terrence Williams went down. Looked like he got his feet tangled, but they're going to throw the flag against the Green Bay Packers and Tramon Williams.
We'll take a look at it. Yeah, it looked like there was the feet just kind of tangled up. I really didn't see a lot there, Joe. You see the right hand, but I don't think that's why the call was made.
Foul, automatic. First down.
I'm looking back at Mike Pereira, who's in the booth, and any time that arm goes around and there's the perception of a hook by the defender, you hear the reaction by the crowd watching it. Mike, what'd you think? Good call, bad call?
And I think your comment's absolutely right. The perception of the side judge who has that view saw the arm, didn't see the tangled feet, little ticky-tack in my opinion, but I can certainly see why the call was made.
It sets it up at the 1 with a 1st and goal. Play action, wide open, Klutz, fullback, touchdown. And what a time for his first touchdown. Romo took a hit, and Tyler Klutz is celebrating his first touchdown.
Well, an outstanding call by Scott Linehan. 1st and goal from the 1, and he goes play action, and Klutz, who doesn't get the ball thrown to him very often, but an outstanding job of finishing off the drive with a touchdown.
Klutz had 1 catch all year for 1 yard. This for a big 1-yarder, a game-tying touchdown, and you could see why Tony Romo was upset. He got a late hit from Clay Matthews talking to Steratore. He and the Cowboys have tied it at 7. Packers have been playing on this site since 1957. Aerial coverage provided by Nationwide. Mike Pereira, here's that hit from Clay Matthews after the ball left the hand of Tony Romo.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a cheap shot, but it's late. I mean, it's after 2 steps. It's certainly a late hit, and I do think that's roughing the passer.
No flag was thrown. So the kickoff will come from Bailey from the 35, and a good drive put together by Dallas here on the road. 7.5 minutes off the clock. That kick's popped up. This is Cobb from inside the 10. Randall Cobb with a good return out across the 30. Brought down by Tyler Patman, 24-yard return. Here comes Aaron, tied at 7. They know how to do football in Green Bay, Wisconsin at Lambeau Field. Under a minute to go, opening quarter. Good start to this one, tied at 7. We saw Barry Church was out for a while. He's back in there. We'll get a report on him in a moment. Starks now in the backfield as the Packers start at their 32. This is Starks. His offensive line opening up some big holes. A gain of 4 down to Chris Myers.
Joe, you mentioned Barry Church. He missed half of that opening drive with a quad injury. Was taken to the locker room. They worked on it. He's back out there right now. However, linebacker Rolando McClain being evaluated for a hit to the head. Remember, he went through the concussion protocol during the week. He remains in the locker room.
It's a big loss, a middle linebacker. So the rookie, there he is, Hitchens, goes to the middle. which is where he ended the game last week. Corner blitz, Skandrick coming, pass is over the head of Randall Cobb. And typically, Troy, you blitz Aaron Rodgers at your own risk. They brought Skandrick. Rodgers overshot Randall Cobb.
Yeah, had a chance. I know Aaron Rodgers, he welcomes any defense that's trying to bring pressure on him. They pick it up nicely with James Starks getting the edge pressure, but just unable to complete the pass.
Third down and 6. Rodgers is well protected, and now down he goes. The protection breaks down. A flag is thrown in the secondary as Mincy finally got to Aaron Rodgers. And we'll get the call from Sterator.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense number 39. 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
Well, Brandon Carr is here, and Jordy Nelson is the one who he's lined up against. And you see the grab of the jersey. Well, that was early in the route too, but the officials catch it. The way the Cowboys ran coverage, they went over the top. Really working to his left was the only opportunity that Rodgers had to go with the football.
He knew it. First down by penalty, second quarter coming up. Take a look at the difference in the temperature and the wind chill from 1967 to today. The Cowboys actually had weather to practice in to prepare them. They had temperatures around 39, wind chill around 29 in the Dallas area this week. So they come in here. The temperature's not that bad for this game for the Cowboys.
Yeah, they were fortunate to have that weather front come through the Dallas area and practice outside and at least get acclimated as best they could in a week's amount of time coming into this game.
Rodgers comes back to his left and Kuhn drops it. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers, he wanted it colder. He'd rather have it as cold as it can be for any team coming in here, and he had a shot to the fullback, but Kuhn couldn't hang on.
Well, you see the way that he's able to move around within the pocket. He said that would not be a problem, but on the play before that, he would have definitely escaped the pocket and got outside had he have been healthy.
Here's Starks brought down right at the line of scrimmage by Mincy. Maybe a loss of 1. Good play by big number 92, who was with the Broncos last year. A nice free agent pickup by the Dallas front office.
It really was. He's been outstanding for this team this year. He knows what it's like to be playing in the postseason. Played for Denver, as you said, last year in the Super Bowl. Led the team with 6 sacks this year.
Spencer came across, free play. Rodgers going to air it out. Nelson downfield is out of bounds. But he knew he had a free play because Anthony Spencer on 3rd and 11 came across.
Yeah, and Rodgers is upset with himself for not giving him a chance of keeping that ball in play.
5-yard penalty.
He's as good as anybody with the hard count, and he's even better once he draws a defense offside. You hear the hard count, but then taking the shot, if he's got anybody going vertically, he had Jordy Nelson, it just got away from him and went out of bounds and didn't give him a chance.
So now 3rd down and 6. Nelson didn't even bother coming into the huddle. Randall Cobb tells him to play as they come up to the line at the 45. Four-man rush. Rodgers steps into it. Guns it. Got a first down. And that's the best throw we've seen today, and it's Randall Cobb, good for 12.
This is an outstanding job by Randall Cobb. Orlando Skandrick is going to be matched up with him all afternoon. Man-to-man coverage. You see Aaron Rodgers, he's just ginger in the pocket. He delivers a strike, but that's strong catch. Going up by Randall Cobb to make the play.
What a year Cobb had. 91 catches, tied for 9th in the NFL. Here's Starks. Starks, who became a star in the postseason when the Packers won it in the 2010 year. when they won that Super Bowl against the Steelers in Arlington, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys. Picks up 4.
You see Orlando Scandrick there. We've seen Randall Cobb in the backfield at times, and even when he's in the backfield, Scandrick is going to be on. I'm talking to him before the game. He said it doesn't matter where he goes, I'm going with him.
2nd and 6. It starts again. And a nice surge at the end to pick up 3. 3rd and short coming up. With Eddie Lacy sitting this series out, at least at the beginning. Hitchens made that last tackle.
I've said it before, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch, though, that they have here in Green Bay, when you can go with Eddie Lacy and then give him a break and bring in James Starks, 2 power runners, and there's no let up with them on this defense.
6-man. Green 18. Green 18.
It's a handoff. It starts. It's a first down. A gain of 6. And now Tony Romo can just sit with the rest of us and watch as Green Bay goes on a long drive.
Corey Linsley, the center, he comes out and he does an excellent job of being able to set the corner and allow Starks a place to run with the football. Anthony Hitchens, he comes in and makes the tackle. You mentioned Anthony Hitchens a moment ago, Joe. He's in there because of Rolando McClain. He didn't practice all last week. He had to step in and play a significant role in that game because of the injury, and he's got a high ankle sprain that is an issue still. He became a household name this last week, too.
Yeah, I'll say. Here's a pass to Cobb, and a nice tackle by Sterling Moore. Just throwing Randall Cobb to the ground, a gain of 4. This is what the Packers do. Right back to the line of scrimmage, putting stress on this defense. It's as quiet as 80,000 people can be as Rodgers steps into it. End zone, and he overshoots Adams. 3rd down and 7.
Well, there's so many times, Joe, over the years we've watched Aaron. You can tell he's frustrated because he has some time in the pocket. He steps up, and normally this is when he would flush out. Once he steps up and the edge rush gets past him, he would then step up and then break contain, and it put tremendous pressure on a defense in trying to maintain coverage with these receivers, but he just can't do it, so he's having to hang in the pocket much longer than he's accustomed to having to do.
Started out 4 for 8. Cobb started in the backfield. And the rookie snapped it. Rodgers lucky to get on it. And now the ball's out again. Mincy with the sack. And the Cowboys, they say, have it. They do. Rodgers was not ready for the snap from Corey Linsley. And it was Mincy who came in, got the sack, knocked it out, and the first turnover of the game picked up by the Cowboys, tied at 7.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. By Fitbit. Energize your day with Charge, the newest activity tracker from Fitbit. And by State Farm. Pump up your savings with a discount double check today.
They won't officially call that a sack. They call it an aborted play, but Mincy made it, and it looked, Troy, like Linsley, the center, snapped it right after Rodgers clapped his hands, and Aaron was never looking for it.
Well, he wasn't, but he was fortunate that he was able to recover it, and then the play essentially was over. He was still trying to keep the play alive. He's gotten out of his comfort zone, obviously, because of the inability of him to take off and run.
From the 36, it's Murray. He's the most talked about fighter in the UFC today, not DeMarco Murray. The notorious Conor McGregor looks to continue his rise to superstardom as he enters the octagon against the dangerous Dennis Seaver. See it live next Sunday at 10 Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Let's say this, Aaron Rodgers is not Aaron Rodgers. This is not what we usually see out of Rodgers, and he is really playing with almost half of his arsenal tied behind his back. Cowboys taking advantage of it. They get the turnover, and now Murray's got a first down. This thing is hanging here right now, and you said it. You can see the frustration, Troy, on the face of Aaron Rodgers, because he's had chances to take off and he just can't do it.
Yeah, and you know how dangerous he is once he does. I mean, so many big plays, because he's the guy who can still throw it 60 yards downfield on a run and with great accuracy. So the Cowboys not having to worry about that and just being able to rush without the element of him being able to escape is a huge factor in this game.
First down from the 48. Romo steps into it. He's got Beasley. And Cole Beasley's got 11 yards and a first down. Des Bryant has yet to grab one.
Well, he's going to get a lot of attention. They're too deep with the safeties. They got man coverage underneath, and so that's why Cole Beasley, he's got to beat Hayward there in the slot, and he does easily. That's a tough matchup. Hayward's an outstanding slot defender, but Cole Beasley is just one of those guys who I've always believed is the difference in an offense when you can work someone in the middle when they're taking away outside players.
He's like a Welker in his prime. He's like an Edelman. Here is Murray left side. I guess the question is for somebody like Romo in this game, as it was last week, Troy, can you take advantage of the attention that Des Bryant is getting by finding other guys? Terrence Williams had the big game last week. Beasley had 4 catches for 63 yards, and he's got a couple here today.
Well, those guys have to be the ones then that step up. And right now, though, Joe, what I'm seeing is an offensive line that's pushing around this defensive front of the Packers.
2nd and 7. Williams breaks a tackle, looking for a block, and he's got another postseason touchdown. That's his 3rd. He went around Tramon Williams, and Tony Romo has got 2 touchdown passes here at Lambeau.
Well, time after time, you've seen Terrence Williams this season make a play. A big play in a game. He did it last week in the wild card round against the Detroit Lions, and here just a simple hitch route to the outside, and Tramon Williams overplays it, and then the pursuit coming from the inside, they overrun it as well. It's an excellent job by Terrence Williams. Poor tackling on Tramon Williams' part.
Penalty flag flies on the extra point. It's against the defense. Meanwhile, this is hard to believe, but this is the first time since the home opener that the Green Bay Packers have trailed at home.
Offside. Defense number 31 lined up in the neutral zone. The point after touchdown is good. The 5-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. Timeout.
The Cowboys are 8-0 on the road this season, trying to go to 9-0 and trying to go to Seattle in the NFC Championship game. Head coach Jason Garrett with a shove and a 7-point lead. They'll go down as points off a turnover. Romo 5 for 6, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks in this game. Comes after the Aaron Rodgers fumble. He only lost 2 fumbles all regular season. Fumbled it 10 times, and he talked to us and said, there's one thing that's really slowed me down. I've fumbled the ball too much, and he did. It led to the touchdown. Packers only allowed 43 points off turnovers this season, 2nd fewest in the NFL. NFL honors. Find out who will take home this year's most prestigious awards, hosted by Seth Meyers. 2-hour event the night before the Super Bowl. What are we going to see from Aaron Rodgers? I know you're impressed with his footwork even when he's healthy. We've seen him try to protect that left calf, and we've seen him unwilling to take off and run so far in this first half.
Yeah, we'll see what he's able to do here on this possession, whether they're able to get the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker.
Here's Lacy right side, and he is swarmed at the 20. It's kind of funny. Have you ever heard a defense say we're going to make Aaron Rodgers try and beat us, but they're going to stack up against the run and pressure Aaron Rodgers and make him prove he can move?
Well, they're trying to give some different looks defensively. They're trying to give a look as though they're going to play coverage, and at the last minute they're dropping a safety down to help in run support.
Quick throw. That's Adams trying to make a move, and there's just nothing there. A gain of 2. 3rd down and 8 coming up, and there's Rod Marinelli, who was coordinated and coached against Aaron Rodgers plenty of times.
Plenty of times, and certainly Mike McCarthy, very familiar with defenses, having gone against Rod Marinelli when he was with the Detroit Lions, when he was coordinating the Chicago Bears defense. A lot of similarities in the scheme and what he likes to do, and he has this defense playing exceptional. It is rare to see guys out of position and give up big plays.
3rd down and 8. Rodgers needs to make a play. He does. Pass is caught by Jordy Nelson. And a nice throw by Aaron Rodgers, a completion of 10 yards.
That's a good job. They're one-on-one on the outside. Rodgers knows it. He's able to lay it out there. This ball is contested. You can see as he drives back on it, but Jordy Nelson able to hang on to it and convert that 3rd down.
Rodgers, nothing there, and he had pressure in his face. Randall Cobb was in the area, but that play broke down almost from the beginning. 2nd and 10 coming up.
It looked like maybe Rodgers was expecting Cobb to do something a little bit differently, but you know, you look at this game right now, Joe, 14-7 Cowboys, and we saw the Cowboys come down and score when they had to, when they were down 7, and the way the Cowboys are moving the ball right now, you just feel like offensively, boy, when one team takes the lead, the other one better answer.
Here's Lacy now. It's just such a boring attack so far for what is usually a dynamic offense. A gain of 2. Mincy is there for the tackle.
We saw some movement along that offensive line there in the early going of this game, but not much sense. I'll tell you, that last touchdown's just taking the air right out of this crowd here at Lambeau Field.
3rd down and 8. Rodgers throws, pass incomplete off the hands of Jordy Nelson, and it's 4th down. Good coverage by Brandon Carr. It was there. Nelson couldn't make the catch.
Yeah, that's one that you don't see from Jordy Nelson. He makes these in his sleep. It's a perfectly thrown ball by Rodgers. He just is unable to see it come in, and it just hits right off his hand. But that was good coverage by Brandon Carr. It was a great throw, but forces the Green Bay Packers to punt.
Tim Mastay had gone 5 games without a first-half punt at home. He hits a line drive. Here's a chance for Harris. Gets a good block. The flag is thrown, but a flag is down. Last time Mastay punted in the first half at home, we were still in daylight savings time. That's how good this offense has been at home in the first half.
During the return, block in the back, return team number 51. 10-yard penalty, 1st down Dallas, timeout.
Here's a penalty, Kyle Wilbur. That drew the flag. Cowboys have it as they lead by 7.
This game is sponsored by American Sniper from Warner Brothers Pictures, now playing in select theaters everywhere January 16th.
Count of the Ice Bowl from our very good friend Lee Rummel. for the Green Bay Press Gazette and spent 33 years with the Packers organization. Thinking of him on this day. Good play up front. Play made by A.J. Hawk, a gain of 1, and the Green Bay defense now has to step up and do something.
Yeah, this is an important possession for the Packers defensively. Already down 1 score. The defense for the Cowboys have been able to slow down the Packers offensively, and I know in visiting with Tony Romo, he was very confident coming into this game in their ability to score some touchdowns early. He felt like, hey, I think we can come away with a couple touchdowns in our first 2 or 3 possessions, and that's exactly what's happened. Went 3 and out the first time they had the ball. They've scored touchdowns the last 2 times they've touched it.
2nd down and 9. There's Des Bryant. They get him involved, and big number 88 is going to pick up. Let's see what they give him. Enough for a 1st down? Not according to our yellow line by inches. And we're going to get a measurement from Gene Steratore. Gene, who is in his 9th year as a referee in this league. Great college basketball official. Officiated college basketball games 4 straight days last week. And let's get the measurement. The yellow line is dead on, even for our technical crew here. This divisional playoff weekend, so inches short. 3rd and inches coming up for the Cowboys.
Well, there's a lot of different ways to try to get the ball into somebody's hands. You know, if you line Des Bryant up wide, then defensively, as we've pointed out, you can roll coverage to his way. You move him inside. You cut down the splits. You throw the quick screen game like they were able to on that last play. Then you got to make a tackle. And the Cowboys have been able to break the tackles, and they've gotten the yards after the catch, where the Packers entering this game, they thought they had the advantage in yards after the catch, but that hasn't been the case.
It's Murray. It's a 1st down. Troy, this is the type game that you build a great offensive line for, and it's what they've done through the draft. 3 of their last 4 first-round picks have been offensive linemen. There's nothing sexy about picking a center and a guard. Nobody's cheering that on draft day. But what a difference that's made, and the offensive line is young for Dallas and outstanding.
It's sexy going 12 and 4.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's sexy. From the 32, 1st down. Falling as he got it, DeMarco Murray picks up 3.
Well, in this offensive line and really this running game, they just wear you down, and the yards early in a game are hard to come by. As you take a look at Bill Callahan, who is the offensive line coach and was calling plays last year, he has done an outstanding job everywhere he has been. Philadelphia, Oakland, here in Dallas, he has put together a very well-coached offensive group.
Trying to set up a screen. It's not there. Well played up front by the Green Bay defense. 3rd and 7 coming up.
Well, that was one of those throws by Romo. We haven't seen many of them, but when you start throwing the ball in the middle like that, it was a screen play. He's just trying to avoid the sack. But it wasn't at the feet, and there was really not much of a chance on that play. There were some green shirts right in that area.
There's the new NFL with Matthews not delivering the hit. 3rd and 7. Back out of the blitz. Romo over the middle. He's got Witten for a 1st down. And when Romo needed him last week, there was number 82, and a guy who will end up in the Hall of Fame, Jason Witten, good for 18.
Well, it sure looked to me like Morgan Burnett breaks coverage here. He missed a tackle on Des Bryant on that quick screen, and then he just completely loses his area of the field and allows, you watch this, and Jason Witten is really Romo's security blanket and has ever since Romo took over as a starting quarterback. 3rd down, that's the guy primarily that he's looking for, and nobody in the area code.
Blitz off the edge. Murray runs right by it. And a nice gain on first down. In fact, Jason Witten had 22 catches on third downs for first downs during the regular season. That led all NFL tight ends. He is still good in year number 12. Dallas on the move. 2 minutes left, first half, as the Cowboys lead by 7. You can follow your favorite team all season long. Just go to itunes.com/NFL. They do such a good job with this organization of bringing back past heroes. Dave Robinson here at Lambeau, joined by others honored before the game. Right now the focus is on this 2nd and 5 in a 14-7 game. Pass is caught with forward progress, a first down. That's Witten. And so another first down picked up, and another big hit on Tony Romo, who gets up a little gimpy.
Yeah, he's shaking it a little bit. You see LaTroy Guion, he comes in the middle and hits Romo low right around the same area where Clay Matthews got him earlier. But they haven't had an answer yet for Jason Witten.
Been sacked once, as Troy said earlier, 6 times last week against Detroit. On first down, back to the ground game. Good play, but Matthews can't bring down DeMarco Murray. Hit him in the backfield and a gain of 3. You don't see that very often.
No, that just what it shows you is the power that DeMarco Murray has.
Now the Cowboys hurry it up with under a minute to go. 3 timeouts. Plenty of time. 10th play of the drive. Pass is behind Witten, but caught. And Witten with another good spot. They're going to give him a first down. And Dallas will use a timeout where they're giving Witten a lot of forward progress. That one good for another first down. Cowboys in a good spot in Green Bay. The Cowboys called timeout, but that may cost them the first down. They went to a booth review. We're inside of 2 minutes, and the spot looked bad initially. I think it's going to be 3rd down and 1. They ruled an 8-yard catch and a first down. They're going to move the ball back. Here's the call.
During the commercial break, there was a review on the spot of the ball as it relates to a first down. After review, the player was down at the 27-yard line is where his forward progress was stopped, which is 1 yard short of the line to gain. It will be Dallas's ball, 3rd down and 1 at the 27-yard line. Dallas did use a timeout, so they have 2 timeouts remaining in the half.
So the timeout allowed them to review it, and now Jason Garrett wants more of an explanation. And he may be saying, I want the timeout back because they reviewed it.
Well, that's not quite the way it works.
So far, the Cowboys are 3 for 3 on 3rd down and 1. But we're not ready for play yet. And you could read the lips of Steratore say he's got 2 timeouts. They're not going to give it back. So it's 3rd down and 1, and that change of the spot is huge if the Green Bay defense can come up with a play here. Again, Dallas 3 for 3 on 3rd and 1, and they've all been picked up by DeMarco Murray. Bad snap went right through the hands of Romo, and he's just going to launch it to the end zone. Incomplete. Interesting play selection as Bailey will come on. They don't run it. They start in shotgun, and now Romo can't handle the snap.
Can't handle the snap. We heard Romo at the line of scrimmage yell, kill, kill. So he killed whatever the play was that was planned to be run. Whether that was a run or a pass, I don't know, but they go to the pass. He's unable to handle the snap. A lot of contact there at that route between Terrence Williams and Tramon Williams.
The second charge time out of the half.
And Terrence Williams now is down, can't get up, and they will charge a timeout to the Dallas Cowboys before a field goal attempt with 34 seconds left. Williams on the sideline. He's got 3 touchdown catches this postseason, 1 today. Here's a 45-yard try by Bailey into a little breeze from a torn up part of the field. And movement up front. The field goal was no good, but this thing was blown dead before the snap. False start.
False start. Offense, number 91. 5-yard penalty. Replay. 4th down.
So now it turns it into a 50-yard try, and it's LB Ladouceur. LP's been around for a long time, snapping the ball for the Dallas Cowboys. He was flagged for the false start.
Well, it's still well within the range of Dan Bailey.
Good snap. The kick is no good. Not close. And how big was that timeout and the takeaway of the first down, which led to 3rd and 1, as this one just sailed wide right by plenty. See if anybody, and it was Dayton Jones who just got a piece of it, and he celebrates. That was enough to block it wide right.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, because he did push the first one right where there was the false start. Dayton Jones was going to make sure everybody knew that he got a little bit of a hand on that ball, but that's a big play for this Packers team, keeping this a 1-possession game.
29 seconds left, 3 timeouts for Aaron Rodgers. No pressure. Rodgers over the middle. It's low and caught by Randall Cobb, as he was evidently able to get his arms underneath it. Let's take a look. And looked like he did.
Yeah, it sure did. From here, Joe, it looked to me like the ball hit the ground, but on replay, he got his hands underneath it. A nice completion.
Kurt and the guys are hanging out, getting ready to go. What's coming up at halftime, Kurt?
All right, thank you, Joe. Coming up on the Visa Halftime, you know, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy are here. But we'll also be joined by a guy very interested in the outcome of your game. Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson will check in with us live, all ahead on the Visa Halftime. Back to you, Joe and Troy.
They're going to look at that last catch. We're inside of 2 minutes. It's a booth review, and let's see. Cobb, arms are under it. Ball secured. I think that's a catch.
Yeah, I don't see anything there that would cause them to overturn it. And right now, Joe, they don't need a whole lot. I mean, when you start looking at this, as to if this holds up, you know, what the Packers are going to need to give themselves an opportunity still with 2 timeouts left in this first half. The miss, and then to be able to come back and maybe come away with some points of their own.
That shot from behind is a much different view, obviously, with Cobb, and it made me take notice. Mike Pereira's in the back of the booth. What'd you think of that second look, Mike?
Well, you know, the first look, because of the way the ball bounced, I thought it may have hit the ground, but this look, you actually see the point of the ball on the ground, the one from behind. So I think this is an incomplete pass. And in this case, by the way, because timeout was called and this reversal will go to a dead clock, they will get their timeout back.
So they're giving that a look. Sterator under the hood in contact with Dean Blandino in the office back in New York. We showed you that promo, worthwhile doing it here. The 2015 NFL Pro Bowl Fantasy Football for Real. Michael Irvin, Chris Carter select the teams at the Pro Bowl draft on Wednesday, January 21st. You can watch the Pro Bowl live from Arizona, home of Super Bowl 49 on Sunday, January 25th.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Completed catch, first down, Green Bay.
So they are going to stick with that initial call. And that view from the other side back in toward the Packers offense looked like the nose of the ball hit the ground, but they will not reverse the call. And so now with 2 timeouts left and 22 seconds on the clock, down by 7, Green Bay inside Dallas territory. Rodgers is going to be sacked. Brought down by Lawrence. He made a name for himself last week with his first NFL sack, and now he gets number 2. And his sack last week ended the game against the Lions.
This is where the Cowboys are effective. They run the twists and the stunts up front. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's able to work the middle of the offensive line and get right in the face then of Aaron Rodgers. As you see the coverage on Jordy Nelson. And it's just, as we've talked about, Joe, just a different quarterback. If he's not able to get the ball out of his hands quickly, him having to stay in the pocket and really rely much more heavily on pass protection than he ever has had to before. And it hasn't held up well enough for him at times because of the coverage that the Cowboys have had.
It's now 2nd down and 20. In case you're wondering, Mason Crosby's career long is 58 yards. It would mean getting it to the 40 of Dallas. Rodgers has Cobb, and what a catch! Wow! Able to get both feet down, and Randall Cobb is good for 31. Just brilliant.
That's an outstanding throw by Aaron Rodgers, and he gets both feet down. Randall Cobb knowing exactly where he was on the field, left foot down, right toe down. That's an unbelievable play by the Packers.
Now they're inside field goal range. It'll be a 45-yard try from here.
Got to be careful with just 9 seconds, though.
They have a timeout left. They bite off a little more yardage, Adams, and they'll spend their final timeout with 3 seconds to go.
Yeah, that's the thing, Joe. They've got the one timeout. Unfortunately, he goes down, and they're able to use that timeout. But if you don't know the situation, then you're starting to run with the football, and then time runs out once you get tackled. Doesn't matter if you have a timeout. You see Aaron Rodgers protecting the calf, but knowing that he delivered one right on the money, which is going to give them an opportunity to come away with points. Potentially a 6-point swing here to end this half.
So we'll be talking about this after this game with the timeout by Dallas that took away a first down. With a booth review, it led to a 3rd and 1. Then the Cowboys don't run it. They snap it out of shotgun. Romo can't handle the snap. It was right into his chest. The missed field goal with a finger on it from Dayton Jones, and now a timeout is taken by Dallas.
Second charge timeout.
To try and heap some more pressure on Mason Crosby. So with 3 seconds to go, we're about to see the field goal try by Mason Crosby, and we'll welcome you inside our broadcast booth. The weather a little bit better than expected. It's been a good game, and obviously we came in talking about Aaron Rodgers and the health of that left calf, and we've been talking about it throughout. We'll go out talking about it.
Well, we will, and we've seen the impact that it's had, for the Packers offensively. I've been impressed, to be quite honest with you, that Aaron has done what he's told us he was going to do. I mean, he hasn't instinctively tried to take off and do more than he's capable.
40-yard try. Crosby is perfect. And it's a 4-point game. And a little swing and a change of momentum here at the end of the first half. Aaron Rodgers will limp off the field. He's been gimpy from the start, dealing with that bad left calf. We'll take a break. Visa halftime coming up after this from your local Fox station, 1410 Dallas. Today's excitement brought to you by Nissan. Was today's excitement brought to you by Nissan. I'm sure plenty more excitement to come in this second half, along with our producer Richie Zients, our director Rich Russo. Calling it Ice Bowl 2. We can do it if we want, I guess. The weather not even close to 1967. Ironically enough, the halftime score back in 1967, 14-10. But it was Green Bay on top. And a couple things. We saw that good throw from Aaron Rodgers to set up the field goal to Cobb. And I didn't like that 3rd and 1 call by the Dallas Cowboys when they set up in shotgun on the other end.
Yeah, and it's hard to know exactly what the initial call was. As I said, we heard Romo go to kill, and then the pass, and then wasn't able to handle the snap, and they had to try to settle for the field goal, which they don't convert on. But I think looking at this second half, Joe, it's going to come down to who is able to win at the line of scrimmage. And I think which of these offenses is going to be able to control the time of possession and the ball by running the football, whether that's the Packers with Eddie Lacy or the Cowboys with DeMarco Murray.
Both teams on pace to end up with over 100 rush yards in this game. There's the one takeaway. It was Mincy who made that happen. Led to the go-ahead touchdown, now 4-point game. Packers will start this second half with the ball. Squib kick. It will be Hyde. And Micah Hyde on the return, broke one tackle, and a good return out across the 30. Brought down by Cameron Lawrence, a return of 18 yards down to the field. Here's Aaron Andrews.
Well, Joe, I just heard Troy mention it's going to come down to the running game, and I spoke with Mike McCarthy asking, is Eddie Lacy okay? We haven't really seen him since that first drive, and Mike McCarthy said, yeah, we just haven't really had the ball, only 3 series since that opening drive. Also asked him about the fact we can see Aaron Rodgers not being able to be himself. He can't run around. How do they counter what Dallas is doing defensively? He said, I don't mean to sound like we're conceited or anything, but we're making a lot of mistakes. There's miscommunication out there. We're not helping ourselves, and we need to fix that.
Let's see what they do here on their first possession. It's Lacy. That ball almost ripped out, and Eddie Lacy keeps churning. Hitchens tried to knock it out. Couldn't do it. A gain of 5, and we go back to the field. Here's Chris Myers.
Joe, Tony Romo injured the ring finger on his left hand in the first half. Put some tape there that was not there, obviously, to start the game. May have had something to do with the snap on that 3rd down play before the missed field goal. Terrence Williams hurt his back, but Jason Garrett said he's okay. And Garrett said they're aware of the limited mobility of Aaron Rodgers, but he saw some things before the half that says he can push it if he has to, so they will adjust defensively throughout the course of the game accordingly.
Here's Barry Church making a nice play as he banged into the body of Eddie Lacy. A gain of 4, 3rd down and a yard coming up. And we may see a lot of number 27 here in this second half.
Yeah, I get the feeling we will too. I know that Mike McCarthy has a lot of confidence in their ability to beat people with the skilled players, but knows that he's limited at the quarterback position and wants to get Eddie Lacy going. And like he said, just needs more snaps offensively.
Here is Lacy on 3rd down and 1. Depends on the spot. Selvey made the play. A couple times now they've lined up John Kuhn wide to the left of the formation, top of the screen as they did there, and we're going to get a measurement. While they bring out the chains, maybe we can open up Mike Pereira, and something we were going to talk about, Mike, at the beginning of the game is that these officials, not an all-star crew, a mixed crew, a little more on the line for these guys here in this game today.
Yeah, and the issue is they call this the show weekend because the officials that go to the Super Bowl will come out of the division round. So there's that extra added layer of pressure that's on them at this point. You know, they'll get the Super Bowl based on their performance in the regular season. So you can't officiate your way into the Super Bowl now, but you can officiate your way out if you end up having a bad game.
I like that, the show weekend.
It's all about the show.
It's all
man.
about the show. For everybody, officials and players.
And a trip to Super Bowl 49 in Arizona. February 1st. First down, Green Bay. A pistol formation, and Rodgers throws. Nelson too high. And we've seen a couple of throws take off from Aaron Rodgers in this game. 2nd and 10 coming up.
Yeah, we have. We've seen some high and we've seen some uncharacteristically low as well. That time they brought Orlando Scandrick off the edge and they pick it up pretty well. I do think, though, even though they blocked him up, it was enough pressure in Rodgers' face that forced him to release it high.
Delayed handoff, Lacy, and he was bottled up initially. Hayden was in there, and Nick Hayden, who grew up outside of Milwaukee, big number 96, is in his 7th year in the NFL and has never played a game here at Lambeau. He was the first guy to try and drag down Lacy.
A really nice play by Hayden, too, working through the block and being able to get Lacy. Had he not have made that play, it looked like Lacy had a little room there to run.
3rd down and 6 now. Four men on the rush. Rodgers steps into it looking for Cobb, and he overshoots him again. It's 4th down.
A lot of field to work with because the Cowboys come up and they press on the outside as well as on the slot, and so they work that outside receiver underneath. It gives Cobb the entire sideline then to work. And normally the Packers, you want to come up and line up in that coverage against them. They're going to make you pay for it. But Orlando Scandrick, just an excellent coverage.
Probable league MVP Aaron Rodgers has started this game 9 for 17. Short punt. Harris from inside the 20 gets popped. As he gets back to the 20, Bush was in on the stop. Cowboys will have it as they lead by 4 their first possession, 2nd half.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By the 2015 Jeep Cherokee. Advanced technology, safety, and capability for every road. By Miller Lite. Back in its original look, it's Miller time. And by McDonald's, a proud sponsor of the NFL and love it.
Aerial coverage provided by Nationwide. As we welcome you back to this divisional playoff here on Fox. First possession, 2nd half for the Cowboys, who went punt, touchdown, touchdown, then a missed field goal that goes down as a block for Dayton Jones. Last time they had it in the first half, up by 4. Terrence Williams back out there and now in motion. Handoff is to Murray, nothing.
I think the Cowboys are going to come out here, as we see here on 1st down, hand the ball to DeMarco Murray. It looked like the Cowboys started to get something going running the football, but overall, Packers have done a nice job containing him. The longest run there in that first half for DeMarco Murray, just 7 yards. And it's a little different game than the Packers are accustomed to playing. You think of these home games where they have averaged just under 40 points a game. Big leads to start the game, big leads going in at halftime. This defense is having to be relied on more than they're accustomed to.
Second down and 10. Romo incomplete. And a flag. Des Bryant was looking for it, working on Tramon Williams, and a flag is thrown. It's against Green Bay.
Yeah, they may have even called it on Casey Hayward in the slot. He was all over Cole Beasley, and Tramon Williams, he never gets turned around looking for the ball on Des Bryant. Here's the inside with Casey Hayward.
Pass interference. Defense, number 38. Spot of the foul, automatic. First down.
Tony's looking for a hit from Peppers. Actually let that ball go with his eyes closed.
That's how good he is.
Wow.
Yeah, they had either one they wanted on that call. They could have gotten Tramon Williams or Casey Hayward. First down, Cowboys.
Mike McCarthy may challenge this, and he is. This ball was possibly tipped by Julius Peppers at the line. They call it pass interference, but if the ball's tipped, that would wipe that away, and Gene Steratore is over to talk. And this will be challenged by Mike McCarthy.
Green Bay is challenging that they believe that the ball was tipped, therefore there would not be pass interference. Timeout.
Let's take a look here. Tough to tell there. Will there be a better look? Packers challenge. Here's the call.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. The pass interference stands. 1st and 10, Dallas.
This view and this look was not available in the original Ice Bowl. This ball goes right by the edge of the left hand with that tremendous reach of Julius Peppers. Here's another look at it. And it doesn't look like it catches any part of Julius Peppers, even though this crowd, after they showed it on the replay board here, thought they might have gotten the call.
Well, it was close. You didn't see any fingers move. You didn't see the ball change trajectory whatsoever. I think it was worth the challenge, but that timeout could be critical.
Crowd's back in it. Here's Matthews coming across. Was he drawn? And it's against Matthews.
Offside. Defense, number 52. 5-yard penalty, replay. First down.
By the way, only 3 teams didn't win a challenge this year during the regular season: Atlanta and New England. Green Bay is the other. And McCarthy now 0 for 5 challenging plays this season. As you said, and I'm with you, I thought that was worth a challenge, but they did not get the call. 1st and 5 now. Hand off to Murray. Lost the ball. Green Bay is on top of it. Knocked out by Peppers. DeMarco Murray had not fumbled since week 8. But it's Julius Peppers right in the middle of it again.
It's unbelievable what Julius Peppers does here. If he doesn't make this play, DeMarco Murray's hits his head on the goalpost, Joe. There was nobody there. It's the biggest hole that I have seen, certainly the biggest hole he's had here today. But Julius Peppers falls back into that play. He goes right for the ball and is able to knock it loose. Well, what a change right there.
Well, I'm with you. It was wide open to the end zone, and that may be the play of the game. Now each side has turned it over once, and DeMarco Murray, who lost 5 fumbles during the regular season, his last one coming week 8, with a playoff fumble here forced by Peppers.
I mean, you see Ronald Leary, their left guard. He pulls. He's got Morgan Burnett kicked out. There is nobody anywhere near him. And Julius Peppers saves what would definitely have been a touchdown. Not only that, it gives the ball back to his offense.
Inside Dallas territory. Here's Lacy. Good play up front by Dallas as they stand him up, and Eddie Lacy's going to lose a yard. First guy there was Mincy, and he's in the middle of everything defensively for Dallas. Now 2nd and 11. We'll see if the Packers can take advantage of that forced fumble. 2nd of the game by Julius Peppers.
Well, I know in talking with Mike McCarthy, you know, he acknowledged it's a big play offense, and it's been a big play offense, especially here at Lambeau Field. But the Cowboys don't give up those kinds of plays. You have to create them. You have to break a tackle, make somebody miss, and that's what the Packers just haven't been able to do up to this point.
Going to blitz. Lacy runs away from it. Eddie Lacy is down inside the 20. 29 yards for number 27.
Check out John Kuhn here, their Pro Bowl fullback, and the job that he does leading the way. And the Packers say, hey, we've got an offensive line. We can create a hole for our running back as well. And what a big play right there for the Packers.
Only the second play from scrimmage for Green Bay of 20 or more yards in this game. Now it's John Kuhn. They love him. Two-time Pro Bowler, including this season. Picks up 4.
Yeah, you don't see many of those guys around anymore, that fullback position. And John Kuhn, as you said, voted to the Pro Bowl. And here in his 9th year, he feels that he's had the best season of his career as a lead blocker and then in pass protection. There was a time when he got a lot of carries. He doesn't get many of those anymore.
2nd down and 6.
One-on-one up top with Jordy Nelson.
319! 319 up.
Rodgers, Adams. The rookie is wrapped up by Moore, short of the first down. And now they're going to throw a flag. TJ Lang is in the middle of it. Hayden and Bakhtiari going at it. That first flag was thrown at the end of this play. There's TJ Lang. Hayden didn't like that. And these officials have to try and sort that thing out.
Yeah, they're huddled up down here trying to figure out exactly what is going to be handed out.
Mike Pereira, so many times you see these things just offset. Nobody ends up getting penalized. What's your gut on this?
Yeah, and you don't like to see that. You want to get the instigator. I didn't really see any blows thrown, so I don't think that we're looking at anything in the way of disqualification, at least from what I saw. But you are trying to talk now who, as a crew, who started it, and can we get that guy without offsetting him?
And is it TJ Lang because of that? I think so. That's why they threw the first flag. And then the two teams got into it.
The Cowboys are signaling right now that it's going to go against the Packers, Joe.
TJ Lang came flying in and laid a hit on Nick Hayden. After the play was over, after the whistles had blown, here's a call.
After the play, personal foul. Unnecessary roughness, offense, number 70. This was a dead ball foul after the end of the play. The down will count. It will be Green Bay's ball, 3rd down.
Mike, what do you think? I think they got that right.
I do too, and you know they've made a point of emphasis the last few years of taking the offensive lineman, not letting him peel guys off piles or around the piles, and that's what happened there. And again, I think they got the thing that instigated the whole thing, which is what they tried to do.
So instead of a 3rd and 1 at the 7, it's a 3rd and 16 back at the 22. It's a huge penalty against TJ Lang.
Yeah, costly penalty. Kudos to Gene Steratore, though, for maintaining order. I know when talking with Mike McCarthy, he liked Gene Steratore and knew that he would be the guy who would be able to keep things under control if it got out of hand, and he certainly handled that well.
319! 319 up!
Just 3 men on the rush. Rodgers drops it off for Lacy. He's got a long way to go, and Lacy won't get there. Good tackle is made to bring up 4th down, a gain of 10. Brandon Carr is the one who made the stop. And so what looked to be a very promising drive after the turnover by DeMarco Murray, at least for the moment, will end in a field goal try of 30 yards by Crosby, who's already hit from 40. One-point game. We have seen a lot over the last handful of plays. First, the fumble by DeMarco Murray. The hit by T.J. Lang, which marched the Packers back. Field goal, and it's a one-point game.
This game is sponsored by Verizon XLTE on America's largest, most reliable 4G LTE network.
Cowboys about to get it back. It's a one-point game here at Lambeau. 7:46 left, third quarter. There's the drive. It followed the DeMarco Murray fumble. Big part of that drive was the personal foul against T.J. Lang. A good Pac-12 doubleheader tonight, starting with Cal taking on UCLA. And then 7th-ranked Arizona squares off against Oregon State. It all begins at 7:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Last two times they've had it. The fumble by DeMarco Murray, who was staring at the end zone, forced by Julius Peppers. With that great reach of his. Des Bryant so far, 1 catch, 8 yards, that's it. Romo, Bryant, 2 catches, more than 8 yards. And he's out to the 40. Shields on the stop, a gain of 20.
Yeah, they came out, they were one-on-one on Des Bryant. And so Romo off of play action, they're able to get the ball into his hands. And the plan coming in and visiting with both Jason Garrett and Romo was that they were going to throw the ball on early downs, knowing that the Packers would be committed to dropping down the safety to play the run, but yet they haven't really thrown the ball all that much on the early downs. They do there, and they got a wide open Des Bryant.
Here's Murray. Makes a move on Shields, takes it inside and takes it to the 45. Picked up by Barrington. Sam Barrington is just another find by Ted Thompson. He made the stop, a 7th-round pick, their 3rd pick of the 7th round out of South Florida. And Ted Thompson knows how to find either college free agents or guys late in the draft that really make a difference. He's been good.
He's been outstanding, and they had a guy who I'm looking at his name right now across the stadium who was pretty good here too for about 11 years, in Ron Wolf.
Here is Randall. His first carry of the day. And a fresh set of legs, picks up 13 yards.
Yeah, you know, Joseph Randall, he doesn't get the ball a lot, but when he does, he sure seems to maximize the opportunities, and they give him a carry here. Good blocking up front. Ronald Leary, he able to kick out the stiff arm on Clay Matthews. So now they come out on this possession, the first down play to Des Bryant, a couple runs, and here they are across midfield.
Longest run of the day for Dallas, 13 yards. Romo is in trouble, throws high and caught by Witten. Just over the outstretched hand of Des Bryant. Now Romo's slow to get up into the arms of Witten. And it was Micah Hyde coming with pressure from the Green Bay defense.
Yeah, they went empty set. It looked like they were trying to work the ball there into the middle of the field. Take a look at Romo as he goes to the ground. They blitz it with Micah Hyde. As you said, Romo's slow to get up. He's battled through so many different injuries, it's hard to even try to assess what it may be. Of course, the immediate concern would be if it's related to his back that was surgically repaired.
Got 2 quarterbacks limping around now. Murray is going to get it right side with Klutz blocking for him, and DeMarco Murray down the sideline. Sets up 1st and goal. Clinton Dix made the stop to save the touchdown. And Romo is banged up after a 25-yard run by DeMarco Murray. It's 1st and goal.
They seal the edge on the outside. They're able to get DeMarco Murray up that sideline. I was watching Romo, Joe, after the handoff, and he is in a lot of discomfort. We talked about this second half coming down to who can run the ball the best. It may be because neither one of these guys can throw the football.
They it'd be like 1967 all over again. First and goal from the 1. Here is Murray for the touchdown. And the Dallas Cowboys have added to that lead with the extra point to come to make it an 8-point game. What a quick drive and a good one from the Cowboys.
A good one and a heavy dose of the running game. Tyler Klutz here, the fullback. He kicks out. DeMarco Murray in behind him. We saw the fumble by DeMarco Murray in the hole that was there. This is when that offensive line starts to really wear defense down in the second half, and especially once you move into that fourth quarter. But 2 possessions now, this offensive line's created some holes.
Well, you are right. Tyler Klutz just stonewalled Julius Peppers. And DeMarco Murray in for the touchdown as the lead is 8. Watch every NFL playoff game and Super Bowl 49 live on your smartphone with NFL Mobile. Green Bay Packers won the Ice Bowl here in the 1967 season. Cowboys have won the next 4 postseason games against Green Bay, all in Dallas. You can see the left knee come down, part of Tony Romo, on the bottom of the shoe and the leg of Micah Hyde. That's why he was limping. He said on the bench he'd be okay. Here's Randall Cobb with the Packers down by 8. Ball out. A fumble by Cobb. A flag is down. A flag was thrown prior to the hit. Now another flag. And it's anybody's guess who's got it at the bottom of that pileup of bodies.
Just a lot of pushing and a lot of shoving going on and a lot of flags being thrown.
And it stays with Green Bay. 2 flags are down. 2 separate fouls. Well, that could have been just deadly as Cobb lost it. Here's Steratore.
The fumble was recovered by Green Bay. During the return, however, there was a hold on number 59 of the receiving team. It's a 10-yard penalty. First down, Green Bay. Timeout.
So that second flag that came in as the bodies were piled up. They don't address that. That was Spillman who forced it. Packers have it, down by 8. Shot to the west side of Green Bay, Wisconsin. As you can see, there's not a lot of movement on the streets right now. People are piled into houses watching this game, rooting for their Pack as they trail by 8. The warmest it's been here in a long time. Brutal week temperature-wise here this week.
I didn't see one car on the road.
Starting from the 10. Rodgers in the pocket, going to drop it off for John Kuhn. Carter on the stop. Nice pickup on first down of 7 yards for the Packers. Still a 1-score game, and we're only in quarter number 3.
Well, the one thing we do know, Joe, both these quarterbacks, and they've been in these situations before. Aaron Rodgers here with 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter and down 8 points, and you know he's not going to panic. He's going to stick with what he does, and he's been in a lot of ball games like this.
Second down and 3. Rodgers well protected. And he throws for Adams, nearly picked. Wilcox almost came up with the pick. And Aaron Rodgers was hit hard. Third down and 3 coming up.
He gets hit just as he's releasing that ball. But what we've seen, Joe, from Aaron, even after he got out of the pocket there, he was obviously careful as he was moving, but from within the pocket when he's had some time and there when he was moving, that he just has not shown the accuracy that he typically has. It has affected his ability to move, as we know, but it's also affected his ability to put the ball where he wants to with time in the pocket.
Third down and 3. Pass is caught. That's a first down, Adams. And the rookie shakes a tackle. Big play. Davante Adams, who Aaron Rodgers thinks will be great and has the swagger of a #1 receiver, is good for 17.
Yeah, he's had his moments this year, and it's been a typical rookie season for him. It's a hard position to come in and really make an impact at the wide receiver position. A lot is asked. You're going up against stronger corners that are playing press coverage. He's had some drops here towards the end of the season. He was able to make Sterling Moore miss, but that pursuit from the Cowboys from the inside out, they made up for it in a hurry.
Just 3 men on the rush. Pass caught. Cobb to the 41 of the Dallas Cowboys. And a 26-yard completion from Aaron Rodgers.
Well, it's an excellent route by Randall Cobb, and you see the move that he puts on Tyler Patman. Sticks him to the outside. He gets up inside in the seam, and Aaron Rodgers gives him a chance. Great body control there by Randall Cobb, being able to make the play.
How about that? 500 straight pass attempts at home without an interception since December 2nd of 2012. An interception by Harrison Smith. On first down, Rodgers, Nelson, no flag, coverage by Carr. Brandon Carr has been getting a little more confident as the season has gone on and really stood up well against Calvin Johnson and the Lions last week.
Looks like Carr might have gotten there a little bit early. A well-thrown ball by Rodgers. Couldn't tell exactly if Jordy Nelson had an opportunity to make a play on that one or not.
Nelson, 2 catches, 22 yards. That's it. And a timeout is taken defensively by Dallas.
First charge timeout. Dallas.
So now each side is down to 2 timeouts. As we will welcome you inside our broadcast booth here at Lambeau Field. This game is just starting to get good. It's Romo for the Cowboys. It's Rodgers, albeit a compromised Aaron Rodgers, for the Green Bay Packers.
Well, I think the thing that's exciting as we move through the remainder of this game and especially into the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, is both of these quarterbacks are extremely confident in their ability to make the plays when they have to be made late in games to win. So even though, you know, the Packers right now are behind, we're seeing Aaron Rodgers march his team down the field, completing some passes, but it's going to get a lot more exciting than it already is.
Well, Rodgers certainly knows how to do it. Hard to believe that the Green Bay Packers have lost 5 of their last home playoff games. Here at Lambeau Field, trailing here by 8. 2nd and 10, pass incomplete for Adams. And that was in a triangle of players where a couple of the Cowboys had a shot at it, and Aaron Rodgers upset with something on the other end of that play. 3rd down and 10 coming up.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what Rodgers was upset about. But I do know they put Randall Cobb in the backfield. We've seen that a few times now. They do that, you know, each week typically towards the end of the season. They had a chance with him one-on-one. I was a little surprised to see Rodgers work away from him.
Now 3rd down and 15 thanks to Andrew Corliss.
False start. Offense number 81. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
They're right there, 81 at the end of the line, and Aaron Rodgers trying to use a hard count, seeing if he can't pick up 5 easy yards and make this a more manageable 3rd down. Instead, he draws off Corliss.
So the question is for the Dallas defense, do you come after Aaron Rodgers here on 3rd down and 15, or do you lay back and play coverage?
Well, what they've done today is in long down situations, they've played coverage and forced him to drop it underneath and then come up and make a tackle. I think they'd be making a mistake if they brought pressure.
They only rush 4. Rodgers with a pass to Adams. What a throw. Adams inside the 10. Touchdown.
Sterling Moore is going to come here. He's running against, Davante Adams is running the route against Sterling Moore. He runs a nice route, is able to create some separation, and Aaron Rodgers puts it right on him. Right out in front of him, and then, as Mike McCarthy talked about, the way you create big plays against this defense, you got to make somebody miss, and he forces the safety to miss a tackle.
This to make it a one-point game, which Crosby has done. 46 yards to Davante Adams on 3rd and 15. Adams, Troy, had that big game here at home against New England on the 30th of November. 6 catches, 121 yards. And Aaron Rodgers thought he might have a big game here today because of the concentration Dallas would have on Nelson and Cobb. And after really not doing much of anything in December, Adams with a huge play on 3rd down.
Yeah, that guy, whether it's Davante Adams, Andrew Corliss, Richard Rodgers, somebody has to be able to offset the attention that Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson get on the outside. I spoke about it earlier, the job that Cole Beasley does for the Cowboys being that guy, and Jason Witten working the middle of the field. This time, Davante Adams, wasn't a lot of separation, not bad coverage really, but a perfectly thrown ball, and then J.J. Wilcox one-on-one, and Adams makes him miss for the score.
Davante had 4 catches for 29 yards in the whole month of December. He's got 5 for 73 and now a touchdown here today. 1-point game, Crosby to kick it back. Harris brings it out. Broke the tackle of Boykin, gets it out to the 25, and will go down to the field, and Chris Myers.
Joe, Tony Romo, after that last Cowboy offensive series when they got the touchdown, taking the hit. When he got to the sideline, I'm paraphrasing, but he indicated to Scott Linehan, his offensive coordinator, my back is fine, but the trainer checked his knee, and his left knee said to keep it loose. Turns out it's just an abrasion on that left knee. The underlining was ripped through. Current diagnosis, not a serious knee injury for Romo.
Yeah, he came down on the cleats, the bottom of the shoe of Micah Hyde. Lead back to 1 for Dallas. Here's Murray left side to the 30, picks up 5.
You know, Joe, I know there's some people at home probably wondering whether or not the Packers should have gone for 2. It's a decision that a coach has to make. I think Mike McCarthy did the right thing, kicking the extra point. You've got the entire 4th quarter, and I think that's when you start trying to evaluate, going off of your chart, as to whether or not you're going to go for 2 points. But with still time left in the 3rd, oftentimes you're chasing those points when you don't make them when you do go for 2. I thought he made the right choice.
Green Bay 1 for 3 on 2-point tries this year. Second and 5, quick throw, Witten over the middle. Jason Witten brought down to the 48. And Jason Witten, who is number 2 all-time among tight ends in catches and receiving yardage, gets 18 and a first down.
Well, you're going to see Nick Perry here. He's going to try to get back underneath that throw, and that's why he's got a free release off the line of scrimmage, and it draws up nice on the chalkboard, but doesn't always work on the field, and they're lucky that was not a bigger play than it was.
Time winding down in quarter number 3. Fake the handoff. Romo's in trouble and swallowed up. And that's how the 3rd quarter will end, as Nick Perry, who could not get a hand on that throw to Witten moments ago, gets the sack. A loss of 8. Cowboys with a 1-point lead as we go to the 4th. Back after this from your local Fox station. 1-point game. Start of the 4th quarter. Winner goes on to Seattle. After the sack, it's 2nd and 18. Romo's in trouble again, and down he goes. Daniels a part of it. Nick Perry as well, a loss of 5, and the Cowboys are going backward.
You're going to take a look at what Tony Romo's trying to navigate through to find an open guy. It looked like Terrence Williams was going to come open over the middle of the ball, but they're sending coverage towards Des Bryant. And as Romo starts to move from within the pocket, the Packers are able to pursue with another big play.
Now 3rd down and 23. Cowboys have to get to the Green Bay 42 for a first down. They come underneath to Murray. DeMarco Murray is to the 40, and that's it. Clay Matthews made the play. A gain of 5. It's 4th down, and the Packers about to get it right back.
Well, I think that was a good call by Scott Linehan. We've seen the Cowboys convert some of those 3rd and forever down in distances, but Scott Linehan recognizing it's a field position game, trying to get as much as you can out of the screen game and see if you can't punt Green Bay back deep.
Jones with the punt, his first since the first quarter. It goes over the head of Hyde and into the end zone. So now Aaron Rodgers and the offense for the Packers back to work at the 20, down by only 1.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Nissan. Innovation that excites. By Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. And by KFC, the world's best chicken. How do you KFC?
Well, this crowd's alive right now here at Lambeau Field. A 1-point game starting at the 20. Aaron Rodgers. We talked about this earlier. Packers had not trailed at home since their home opener week 2 against the Jets. They have trailed here today. Just under 25 minutes. They're down by 1.
319! 319 up!
Cobb in the backfield. They fake it to him. Rodgers is able to avoid a sack. Drops it off for Corliss. And Corliss has got a first down. "12 yards as Aaron Rodgers was able to break loose."
I'm not sure how he was able to either. It looked like they had him, and yet he's able to break free from Nick Hayden. Nick Hayden had a chance to get a hold of him, but Aaron Rodgers keeps it alive enough for a big play.
319! 319 up!
Now they hand it to Cobb. Even though Cobb's not a big body, 5'10", 192, Mike McCarthy not scared to hand it to him. He picks up 2 where Hitchens brings him down.
Yeah, in fact, I asked Mike about that. He's only had 11 rushes from the backfield, this season. And I asked him if he was worried about him carrying the ball in there with all those big bodies. And he said, hey, he's a return guy. He's used to that. But he does try to be careful how often. The one thing you won't see him do when he's in the backfield is pass protect.
319! 319 up!
2nd down and 8. Rodgers pulls it down. He comes to Adams. Adams gets away. And Devontae Adams into Dallas territory after going around Skandrick. The rookie's playing big here today.
Boy, he sure is. He's making some people miss. He's making some nice catches, and Aaron Rodgers is sliding around and doing a good job of keeping the play alive and then finding the open man.
319! 319 up!
On first down, Rodgers backs up, finds Cobb. Cobb is brought down just short of the 40 by Jeff Heath, a gain of 7.
What Cobb does a really nice job of there on that play is once he got it, he started to maybe try to make a move and see if he couldn't get something out of it. The Cowboys didn't bite. He just then took it north and south and got as much out of that play as he could.
Out of the backfield, it's Cobb right side. First down and more inside the 30. Survived a hit by Heath again and a gain of 14. And Rodgers says, let's keep it going.
Well, they're applying the pressure. They're up tempo right now. They want to exhaust this defense for Dallas and Randall Cobb has been a big part of what they're doing here on this possession. He's been starting in the backfield. They've motioned him out. He's in the backfield once again here. But he puts his defense in a bind in knowing how to play him. Orlando Scandrick opposite of him, but hard to cover him when he's got a two-way break.
Rodgers. Corliss. Good throw by Rodgers. Knocked out by Hitchens. A gain of 7.
A really nice protection inside for Aaron Rodgers, and allowing him to hang in there and find the open receiver, this time Corliss along the boundary.
Rodgers perfect on this drive, 5 for 5, 2nd and 4.
Hold on! Hey, Roger! We are going! Roger! 319! 319 up!
Rodgers was mouthing instructions to Adams prior to the snap. He flips it forward. Nice play, Corliss. He's got a first down inside the 15. And they can come at you a lot of ways, and Rodgers looks better right now than at any point in the first half.
Well, this is really impressive watching Aaron Rodgers in his limited ability to move. That time Jeremy Mincey is coming down on him, and he knows he's got to get the ball out, and he's doing it just a tick quicker than what the Cowboys are able to get to him. Remember, this drive started with him being able to miss or get past the tackle of Nick Hayden to have a nice gain on first down.
Last time they had it, they went 90 yards for a touchdown. This time they're trying to go 80 with the play clock down to 1. A timeout taken by Green Bay. They're down to 1. The divisional playoffs continue today on CBS. It's the Colts and the Broncos in Denver. Well, the conference championships begin next week right here on Fox and CBS. Give you a look at Aaron Rodgers' day. Coming in with a strained left calf. And that little flip for the first points of the day. Corliss. And he wasn't ready for a snap. Eventually turned it over on this hit by Mincey. Had to talk to his rookie center. He has been under fire. He's been not able to run. And when he's had to catch up with his teammates, he's limped down the field. Devontae Adams with a big one. A rookie with a 46-yard touchdown catch and run. Last time the Packers had it to make it a one-point game, and now here they are, easily in field goal range, but you know they've got loftier ambitions than that. Looking left, now right, now end zone, touchdown, Green Bay. Rodgers.
Joe, you think of the luxury that the Cowboys have had in not having to worry about a scrambling Aaron Rodgers. You watch what he has out in front of him. There's nothing. Aaron Rodgers would take this, tuck it, and run, but he can't. And he throws an absolute dart between two defenders for this touchdown. That was a heck of a drive right there by number 12.
And number 12 is starting to look like number 12 again here in the second half, whether that calf is loosened up. He's got 8 straight completions and now leading by 5. They'll go for 2. As I said, 1 for 3 on 2-point tries this season.
Yeah, and like we talked about, now's the time to do it. Fourth quarter, see what they dial up. A lot of times you want to try to move the quarterback and work half the field and see if you can't free someone up and buy some time, but that won't happen here.
319!
Quick throw, pass broken up for Corliss. And it stays a 5-point game. Jeff Heath with a defensive play. Here's Rodgers. Couldn't run it, so he slings it. As Troy said, a dart to Richard Rodgers, the rookie. Put on the belt, pack up 5. Little old and new. And somehow this game has lived up to the hype. 26-21, Green Bay on top. Aaron Rodgers 7 for 7 on that drive. He's hit on 8 straight. And now the Packers back on top, leading by 5. A chance for Harris. Did all he could. First guy there was Jaron Elliott. And a good play by number 91. NFL honors. Find out who will take home this year's most prestigious awards. Hosted by Seth Meyers. A 2-hour event the night before the Super Bowl. The drive will start at the 18-yard line. 9 minutes left. Cowboys can go about it any way they wish. Here we go. They're going to start on the ground, and they do so with Murray. Murray out across the 40, out across the 45. They're going to mark him down at the 48, and a big start to this drive for Dallas.
You can see Hannah and then Ron Leary, the left guard. They lead the way, and the kick out by Leary. It's just an excellent job creating the hole here for DeMarco Murray. They had that running game going earlier, and then the last possession they got away from it a little bit. Romo took a couple sacks. They come back to it here, another big game.
30-yarder to start the drive. Why not stick with it? It's Randall. And Randall's bottled up this time, a gain of 2 by Mike Daniels. And back into the game comes number 29. People said, well, is he starting to slow down? After a down second half, still very good. He's had a huge game here. 121 yards in this divisional playoff game at Green Bay. Second and 8. Romo for Bryant, and a first down. Diving catch, Des Bryant. Inches inside the 40, a gain of 10.
They're working Clinton Dix. They work him towards Des Bryant to try to give any kind of help in case he's going deep. But those underneath intermediate throws is still one-on-one Tramon Williams, and haven't been able to get the ball a lot to Des Bryant here this afternoon.
3 catches, 38 yards. Here's Murray. There was some room in the middle of the field. It was shut down by Guyon. A gain of 2. Under 7 to go in this game, with Green Bay leading by 5. The winner of this goes to the championship game in Seattle next Sunday. Slides out to his right, and finally brought down from behind. Time ran out on Romo trying to make something happen. Dayton Jones was there along with Guyon and Mike Neal. A loss of 3.
He got sandwiched pretty good at the end of that play. It looked to me like he was trying to work Cole Beasley to the left, but thinks that he's able to make Jones miss. He might have something, and he gets drilled.
That's Guyon with a big hit. Neal. There was Perry in there too. 3rd and 11. Just got it away. Pass caught. Beasley. Room to go, and he won't get it. He's going to be about 2.5 yards short of a first down. And it's 4th down.
That's kind of decision time right now for Jason Garrett. We saw what happened last week. He went for it on 4th down with about this much time left in the game, and he's going for it here.
He was praised for that decision.
tell you, I do not agree with this call here, Joe. I think with the kicker that they have, with this much time,
we're looking at about a 51-yard field goal try from this spot. Fourth down and 2. Here's one down the sideline. Pass caught by Des Bryant. They're going to mark him inside the 1. And a brilliant catch by number 88. That was up for grabs, and Des Bryant went up and grabbed it.
Well, Sam Shields is in a great position to make a play, but he's 5'11". He goes up, but he's just not able to contend with the 6'2" Des Bryant. You see how high he gets to go up and make a play. I haven't seen anybody go up and make plays on balls in the air the way that Des Bryant has.
Wow. And now Mike McCarthy is looking to challenge, to say that in the process of the catch going to the ground,
Green Bay is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed catch. Timeout.
It'll be the biggest call of the game. It came on 4th and 2. Is it 1st and goal from inside the 1, or is it Green Bay's ball? We'll get the call when we come back.
This game is sponsored by Samsung. From big to small, amazing things happen with Samsung. The next big thing is here.
Well, we've had a little debate here in the booth as to what this call is going to be. Mike Pereira, do you care to weigh in on what you think we're about to hear from Gene Steratore?
Well, I'll tell you what they've got to take a look at is whether or not the ball came out when he hit the ground. I don't think he made a football move with it, so when he hit the ground, the ball touched the ground and then came loose. If it is me, I reverse it to an incomplete pass. Again, this whole process, focus on the process of going to the ground. You must maintain control.
The other question is, did he have it long enough to make a football act? Is that considered so? Here's the call. Biggest call of the day.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain possession of the football during the process of the catch. The ball comes loose, hits the ground. Therefore, the ruling is an incomplete forward pass. That was Dallas's 4th down. They will lose the ball on a change of possession on the downs. Will be Green Bay's ball 1st and 10 at the 32.5-yard line. Green Bay will be out of challenges through the remainder of the game.
Well, what a time to use your last challenge, as that could change the outcome of the ball game. Instead of a 1st and goal from inside the 1 because it happened on 4th down, and Mike, as you said, because he didn't maintain control going to the ground as part of the act of the catch, it's Green Bay's ball.
Reminds me a bit of Calvin Johnson years ago with the same referee, Gene Steratore. It's part of the process. Ball came out. It's incomplete.
It is the first and most important challenge win for Mike McCarthy all year. The only challenge he's won all year.
Well, it was one heck of a challenge on his part. And now this Cowboys defense has to find a way to come up with a stop.
Leading by 5. Lacey wrapped up by Barry Church after a gain of 2. So again, before the play, we talked about, do you go for the field goal? We were watching Dan Bailey attempt field goals during halftime, kicking to that end of the field. He was short a couple of times on a 50-yard try. That was in the neighborhood of a 51-yard try. Then they get the catch, at least half of the catch, by Des Bryant on a brilliant leap, but stretching for the end zone in the act of the catch, he loses it when he hits the ground, and it's Green Bay's ball. 2nd and 8.
319.
Here's Lacey left side. He's going to be wrapped up just short of the 40. 3rd and short coming up as he picked up 5. Hayden on the tackle.
Well, these are hard yards, as we know, and 80,000 people here at this game know that the Packers want to run the football and try to run this clock down, and this Packers offensive line gets a chance to flex their muscle a little bit here. 3rd and 3. I would expect this to be a passing down, but the Cowboys, in order to get the ball back to Romo one more time with an opportunity. They need to make a key stop.
On 3rd down and 3. Rodgers, sideline. Adams, he's got it! The rookie into the open part of the field and down inside the 35. And what a game for number 17. 26 yards after getting away from Sterling Moore.
Yeah, initially it looked like Sterling Moore was going to wrestle it away from him. The ball was upfield on Davante Adams, but he makes a big-time play here, and then Moore not able to get the ball away, unable to make the tackle. That's a big first down for the Green Bay Packers.
And a timeout taken by the Dallas Cowboys. They are left with only 1. And 2 minutes, 24 seconds left. Green Bay Packers in a great spot. And we'll go back to the call and the reversal. You think about a week ago, the pickup of the pass interference call against Hitchens and the Dallas Cowboys. Well, this one went the Cowboys' way initially and then reversed upon review.
Just an unbelievable catch. Like I said, with great coverage by Sam Shields. Looked like he even got a little bit of the ball, but Des Bryant just unable to finish it all the way through, and a big-time challenge, whether it came from upstairs to do it or not, by Mike McCarthy.
Corliss started too soon.
False start. Offense number 81. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Dallas will look back at some missed opportunities. That 3rd and 1, not running the ball. The missed catch on the snap by Romo. Then the ball that was tipped on the field goal try by Bailey. A completion toward the end of the half to Randall Cobb that brought about the field goal for Green Bay. A 14-10 game at the half. Now 26-21 Green Bay with under 2.5 to go. They're going to run it with Lacy left side. Well played. Heath was trying to rip it out. And a timeout taken by Dallas. That's their final. With the 2-minute warning looming as well. Come back to Green Bay after this. 2015 NFL Pro Bowl fantasy football for real. Michael Irvin, Chris Carter select the teams at the draft on Wednesday, January 21st. Watch the Pro Bowl live from Arizona, home of Super Bowl 49 on Sunday, January 25th. Go to NFL.com/Pro Bowl to learn more. This game is far from over. 2nd down and 14 with a 2-minute warning looming. They hand it to Lacy right side. Hitchens makes a play. That rookie has played his heart out. A gain of 3, and that will take us to the 2-minute warning with a big 3rd down coming up for the Green Bay Packers, trying to stamp their ticket to Seattle, the NFC Championship game. 2 minutes left. For this 3rd down and 11, Dallas out of timeouts. Realize Green Bay is at the 35. It would be a 53-yard try from this spot for Crosby within his range. But with a lot of pressure. 3rd down and 11. Rodgers, that ball was tipped. And it is caught by Cobb. That should seal it. They're going to throw a flag on Randall Cobb for throwing the football, but that's after the play and after the 1st down as Crawford tipped it, and somehow number 18 made the catch.
It's pretty amazing because Orlando Scandrick was in coverage, but he had his back to the line of scrimmage, so he never saw the ball coming in Cobb's
After
direction.
the 1st down, we have delay of game. Number 18 of the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty, 1st and 10 Green Bay, and the clock will start on the snap.
And there's not a fan in Lambeau that cares about that flag.
for Cobb to be able, after the ball was deflected, Crawford, as you said, he got a hand on the ball. Cobb was looking back at his quarterback, sees the ball, he's able to make a play on it. Just an amazing job.
Speaking of amazing, time to start heaping it on Aaron Rodgers. The big call in this game, a 4th and 2 from the Green Bay 32 with 4.5 minutes left, with Dallas down by 5. Looks like they're going to lose by 5. It was ruled a 31-yard catch by Dez Bryant before being overturned on replay. Missed opportunities for Dallas, but Troy, when these great players like Aaron Rodgers comes out as a compromised player with a strained left calf and does what he did here today. Here's the play. Talk about elevating. Dez Bryant elevating to get the catch, couldn't secure it going to the ground, but the legend of Aaron Rodgers is elevated even more here today with what he's accomplished.
Pretty remarkable the afternoon that he had, playing within the confines that he had of the calf and not being able to get out and make things happen on a number of occasions, sitting in the pocket and delivering the football. Really an outstanding performance on his part by gutting this one out. Now it's just a matter, Joe, of how much recovery can he gain as he goes into that showdown in Seattle, a rematch of Week 1.
Week 17, when he came back after re-aggravating that strained calf, we were comparing him to Willis Reed. Here's the final snap. Think about Tiger Woods in the 2008 U.S. Open at Torrey Pines with a double stress fracture in his left leg. Aaron Rodgers not able to do what he typically does, extend plays. But whether it's Reed or Woods or these great professional athletes, Aaron Rodgers is on that list. Compromised, diminished with a calf injury, but still great. And today, again, a winner. The catch that wasn't. And the win that is here at Lambeau Field, 26-21. And it'll be the Packers and the Seahawks next Sunday in the NFC Championship game here on Fox. State Farm postgame show coming up after the break.